Well, hey there, guys, and welcome back. On this week's show, it's part 2 of our fall 2024 updates. Well, for those of you who have been around for a while, again, you know what's going on here, but for those of you who are new, possibly new this week, every 6 months, roughly, I visit old shows here on the program to give you an update. Did that tool still meet my needs over the years? Did that project have longevity? Did I still like it today as much as what I did back then? Or was it a complete and total failure? And don't waste your time. That's what we're doing today. And this is part 2. We visited part 1 last week. I'll drop the link down below to that show if you're interested. But either way, guys, this is part 2 of our 2024 fall updates, and let's get right into it. Well, back in the cold months of January of 2019, I brought you a blueprint corkboard. It was a small little framed corkboard. It even had some scrolled blueprints across the top, I think it said. And its purpose was to have it on the wall. And if you were working with blueprints, you could just thumbtack or push pin your prints onto this corkboard. It didn't take up a lot of wall space, but allowed your prints to hang down. So how was the longevity of that project and how useful was it for me? Not at all. Not a single bit. That doesn't mean it's not useful for you. I've had people ask me before, how do you hang those prints when you're working on a Toys and Joys pattern? How do you hang them over your bench? And I have a real sophisticated system of a piece of hardboard that's about 1 inch wide and maybe about 24 inches long that hangs with binder clips from the ceiling of my shop. And that allows me to have it right in front of me, but pull it down easily and work on the prints without popping holes in them from push pins. Truth be told, I made that with every intention. I made that corkboard with every intention of using it to hold my prints while I was working on projects. But then the layout of my shop changed a little bit, and there was really nowhere to put that corkboard over by my bench where I like to have the plans. And then my high-tech, sophisticated binder clip board thing came to be, and the blueprint corkboard actually never got used. There was never a hole put in it from blueprints other than the ones that were placed there to test it on the show. So there you go. It is still a viable project. If you're someone that uses blueprints and you have somewhere in front of your bench or wherever you're working to mount something like that, it's still a viable project. I'm not going to say it's not a good one because it definitely is. It just didn't suit my needs. And that's the way that some shows work. And it works for the host of the show as well as it does for the viewer. Some projects I make here suit me just fine, and other ones just don't suit my workflow. So there you go. The blueprint corkboard holder thingy, great project, just didn't work for me. February 1st of 2019, we made adjustable trivets. And I believe with those adjustable trivets, I believe I got the initial idea from Paul's Messy Workshop, and I kind of took it my own direction, and it worked out great. And I just want to bring you the update of how these trivets have kind of lasted over the years, because it's been 5 years since we made them. And I'm going to tell you, they're phenomenal. They still get used at our house at every large meal, usually like Christmas dinner, Thanksgiving, that sort of thing, where there are a lot of dishes to be brought out to the table and everyone just kind of helps themselves. Those expandable, adjustable trivets are fantastic. They protect your tabletop. They're adjustable for size, depending. If you only have one dish, only open them up a little bit. If you have 2 dishes, open them up all the way. Fantastic. I've made 2 of them and they get used on a regular basis. The finish is held up really well on them. The rivets, those brass drive pin rivets that I put in them, fantastic. They have held They are still going strong. They look great. They work great. A worthwhile project. Honestly, guys, Christmas is coming up. I hate to say it, but Christmas is coming up. What a fantastic gift idea. And you cannot go wrong with these things. Just follow the tutorial. I'll post the link to that show down below. You got to make yourself some of these adjustable trivets. They are awesome. Well, it was back in April of 2019 that I brought you a 3-part series on the thing I'm sitting on right now, and that is my adjustable stool. Unbelievable. My butt has been on this thing for 5 years, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. Adjustable height. I have back issues, so standing in the shop is not really a very viable option for a full day out here. So I need to sit from time to time, especially when I'm working at a bench. Hunched over the bench is not good for your back. It's best to be sitting here on the stool where I can work comfortably and not hurt my back. Guys, this stool has been rock solid. Walnut and maple, two of my favorite woods to combine together in a project. Between the threader, the Beal wood threader, and the different aspects of the project, it's just an amazing, amazing, amazing project from beginning to start, from part 1 right through to part 3, and the longevity has been phenomenal. This stool is a staple here in the shop. It has been for 5 years. I cannot see it going anywhere. It does have a few dings and nicks and that sort of thing, but it lives in a woodworking shop. What do you expect it to have? It gets used. And unfortunately, when we use things, they get worn. And that's just the nature of having things that get used. They get that patina kind of thing of being worn. But the finish is still holding strong. Everything about this stool is phenomenal, guys. If you are interested in having a stool, an adjustable height stool, whether it be, say, for your piano at home or whether it be for here in the shop like what I use it for, you really can't go wrong with this design. You really can't go wrong with this project. It was time consuming. It was challenging, but it was a whole ton of fun and worth every second that I put into it. So there you go. The adjustable shop stool, amazing. I wouldn't trade it. I honestly would not trade it. So October of 2020, we visited a way to store your steel rulers by your bench to keep them at a hand's reach, easily accessible, and to keep them from flopping all over your bench. And we came up with the ruler holder with the magnet embedded in the base. Guys, this project is 4 years old, just over 4 years old, and it's so good that I made 2 of them. I keep one over by my table saw and my lathe, and I keep one at my bench. And all of my steel rules go in there. It doesn't matter what they are, what scale they are, or whether it's metric or imperial, they are in there. And I can just reach up and grab the one I want and do the work that I need to do and then snap them right back in place. No more dropping a ruler on the concrete floor and having that corner curl up and be damaged. None of that. These holders are fantastic. They are a great scrap wood project, a fantastic scrap wood project. You can make them out of anything. I made mine out of maple, but you don't have to do that. Whatever species you have, even pine is acceptable for one of these magnetic ruler holders. You don't even have to add the magnet if you don't want, but I will say that the magnet does help immensely to keep those rulers contained, especially when you have multiple rulers in there and you're reaching and pulling just one out. That magnet keeps those steel rulers in that holder so that you're not accidentally knocking one out while pulling out another and then basically ruining the ruler by dropping it on the floor and canceling any of the benefits to the ruler holder at all. So for a little bit of scrap wood, and one rare earth magnet, this project is fantastic. So if you're looking for a way to store your rulers, can't go wrong with this one. It's an awesome project. It's been standing up to the test of time at 4 years old now. And, well, I'll put the link to it down below, and hopefully you'll make your own version. Well, for the final update of today's show, we are going to take you back to a time when I was a little thinner, when I had a full head of hair, when I had a goatee, and when I was a little more awkward in front of the camera than what I am right now. And that goes back to December of 2013. And that would be my scroll saw options, a buyer's guide video. And essentially what this video does is it explains the features of a scroll saw, what to look for when you're purchasing a scroll saw, what features are good, what features are useless, what features are a must. And it kind of helps someone who's looking to get into scrolling to understand the ins and outs of different options and not get sucked into the bells and whistles, like, say, oh, this one's got a knife grinder attachment on the side, which pretty much would never get used. The video is very opinionated, of course, because it's my opinion on these options, but it's still a very valid video to this day, 11 years later. So what is the update? Well, the update here is the fact that this thing is still viable. In the past month alone, it's got almost 400 views. And I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but for an 11-year-old video from back in 2013, that's not bad. And overall, since I posted it 11 years ago, this thing has received almost 300,000 views. That is, in my mind, a lot of views. On average, on a weekly show, I don't get a lot of views per show. What I get is views over the long term. That's the way my show works. There's not a big enough audience here to hammer on a show and give it thousands and thousands of views upon its airing. It gets views over time as people find it through Google searches or through finding my channel and then going through to older videos or searching out content that they're looking for. But this video, this 11-year-old video, has been standing the test of time. And at almost 300,000 views, it's a pretty spectacular achievement for me. So, although there's been a lot of hair loss since then and a lot of weight gain since then, and lost the goatee since then and gained a lot more confidence in front of the camera, that show is still holding solid. And it's pretty much one of the most popular shows on the entire channel. There is well over 800 episodes of the program. That in itself is a wicked achievement. So if you want a good chuckle at how things were back 11 years ago, I'll post the link below. You can add to the views if you want, but we're pushing almost 300,000 on that one. And there you have it. Part 2 of our 2024 fall updates. Guys, as I said in last week's show, updates are a personal thing. If you're not interested in a project, why would you care about the update? If you're not interested in the tool or the review of that tool, etc., why would you care about the update? However, there are those out there that will care about the tool or the project, etc., etc. So this is where you get to have your say. What do you want to see on the next update show? Why don't you shoot me an email at kennye@cutabovewoodworkings.com and let me know what you want to see on one of these update segments. It'll be 6 months before it airs, or it could air on the upcoming Ask Kenny segment, which is a new segment here on the show. But either way, if you want to have some specific information about a project, or you want to know the longevity of something that I've aired here on the show, speak up. Speak up. I'd be more than happy to answer your questions and more than happy to air it here on the show, because The way that this works is I normally sit down at my desk and I go through a listing of all of my old shows. And I say, hey, I haven't talked about that one in a while. And I go through and start deciding exactly, was it good? Was it bad? Did it survive? Was it junk? Etc., etc. So speak up and let's hear what you have to say. If you haven't already, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. We have got a phenomenal audience base here, and I'm hoping you're going to consider becoming a part of that. Guys, I hope you found the updates interesting. I hope you had a little bit of fun with them. I hope that you're going to check out the links below to the 5 episodes of the show that the updates were referring to, because some of them, although older shows, you know what, they still have some viable information that is still valuable today here in the shop. Guys, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you're going to check out those old shows, but more importantly, I hope you're going to join me again next week when I bring you yet another Alternative Tuesdays.